right, we should be live. So right now, I am going to be journaling my trade from Friday, which I did not get to on Friday. That's something I'm going to do better at. I'm going to make sure that I don't journal later on, but you know what? It's the weekend, so it's okay. And like I've always been saying, every single day, I'm just going to keep getting better at the process. And I told you guys about how I'm doing this new thing with a psychology score where if I have a certain amount of things that I need to do every day, and the percent of them that I complete, it gives me a psychology grade. And so, as well, I get bonus points for doing certain things, like making sure that when I take a loss, I don't let it affect me, right? That's like a bonus point or 2 points. I can't remember. Another one is saying no to a trade. Every single time I say no to a trade, that's another bonus point. So these add up to a psychology grade. And so the idea is I'm going to try and get this as high as possible at the end of every single day. And now over time, I kind of want to make a goal where ideally, like, I get a reward if it's like, let's say every single day this past week was over 100% psychology score, right? Or over an A plus. If every single day was A plus, an A plus psychology grade, if every single day was A plus, then I get some kind of reward. But I'm still trying to figure out what that should be. So if you guys have any ideas, definitely let me know. But yeah, just wanted to go on a little rant. I'm gonna get chat pulled up on my phone. I don't think anyone's gonna watch this, but you know what? That's totally fine. Yeah, no one's watching right now, and that's totally fine. But the main idea is I'm going to be journaling and getting better right now. So we're gonna review the trade that I took on Friday. So let's see if I marked it out here. I don't think I did. So that's something I need to work on as well, making sure that I always put the trades in the trade log. Let's go try and find it. So I really did mess up the trade from Friday because I did not get the entry for the breaker block. I got an entry off of a change to delivery off the breaker block, and that, like, it totally messed up my risk to reward. And so that's something that I need to make sure, I need to make sure that I don't, if I don't get the entry, I don't force a trade. Like, sure, if the trade actually calls for like a lower time frame confirmation, then that's fine. But that trade, I should not have done that. That was not. It just depends context by context, and that trade did not call for that. So, I don't know if that made sense, but anyway, I'll show you guys what I mean in just a second when I pull this up here. We're going to pull up the live stream from Friday, streamed 2 days ago. All right, good morning. Okay. So let me share that screen. Boom, here we go. So this was from Friday. This is what we're going to be looking at. We're just gonna skip ahead to the trade. I had the bias right. I eventually figured out the bias, which was really, really nice. It took me a while, but I figured it out, which was really cool. Look, I said, well, you hit this daily manipulation and this 12-hour manipulation, we have London and Asia below, we're probably going to distribute down. And then look what happens later on. Right? I guess we left a data high. So it's pretty cool that I called that all. So the trade I took was what trade did I take? Like, okay. Out now. Yeah, we're probably gonna continue down the previous month's low and previous week's low now. Yeah. This was it. This was it. Okay. So this was what I was thinking, and while it's like, I mean, it's a decent breaker block and for value gap. Um, it's a decent breaker block on for value gap on the lower time frame. This is on the 1 minute, right? I have to realize that um, if you want a higher time frame entry towards your higher time frame draw, you can't be doing these 1 minute trades. You got to be doing a 5 minute model and then a 1 minute entry. So technically, actually, I broke my rules here because what is one of my rules? One of my rules is I need to make sure that when I take a copy trade, it's either a stupidly obvious inverse or value gap or a breaker block, or towards really good liquidity, or it needs to be in the context with a higher time frame model. Those are my two rules with this. And so technically, I broke my rule with that. I'm not going to go change my psychology score because, you know what, I'm just going to let it be. But technically, I was not supposed to take this trade because I had not outlined a higher time frame model. So let's mark this out here. Yeah. Trade 67. Loss. Copy traded. Friday. What was it? Friday what? Friday, January 10th, 2024. Lost, copy traded. So there were a lot of good things about this, but there were a lot of mistakes that I made. So let's start out by saying that. Let's switch the screen back over here. There were a lot of good things about this trade, but there were also a lot of things that I overlooked and forgot about. So the trade, yes, the trade had S&T, a macro, a good sweep, and a good draw on liquidity. Previous week's low. However, I forgot how important it is to align my time frames before taking a trade. I took this, so many of my losses occur on the 1 minute chart before I've aligned it with the 5 or 15-minute chart. This is why so many trades that seem good will fail. The trade needs to be within the context of the higher time frame model. So technically, I broke my rules here because in order to copy trade, it needs to be in context with the higher time frame model. Now, it wasn't on purpose, it was an accident, but it's something I need to be more careful of. So in the future, there were a lot of good things about this trade, but I forgot forgot about aligning the trade with the higher time frame model. This is one of the most important things. Yes, the traded SMT macro liquidity sweep and a good draw on liquidity, but without aligning time frames, your trades will fail over and over again. So technically I broke my rules here on accident. I will be extremely careful next time to not let this happen again. The other main issue with this trade is that technically it should have been a break even if I had gotten the entry I was supposed to. The problem is I entered late, which caused my RR to be worse. Which messed up where I should have moved stop to break even. From now on, I can't take trades if I am entering late. No exceptions. If I'm waiting for lower time frame confirmation, that is one thing, but here it was mostly an excuse to enter late, and that's not okay. So here, let me map it out so people know what the trade was. So just so people get an idea of what the trade was supposed to be, because once again I entered late, so the execution is kind of confusing for someone who doesn't really know what they're looking at. So let's mark that out just so people can know. But the idea was we had breaker, these down close candles overlapping with the fair value gap. Once again, I messed this up. I entered late, which is not okay. It's a new rule that I'm going to implement starting this week, where if I enter late, I can't take the trade. Just unacceptable. So, but this is good because now I have a new rule. Because if I enter late, then it messes up my break-even spot, right? And then if it messes up my RR as well, and that messes up everything else. So, like, it can't enter late. Like, I know, like, this was a decent-looking trade, but entering late will make trades instantaneously suck. It will. So, I just have to be super, super careful. Okay. So yeah, the idea was we had previous week's low down here. Is right here. So there's the market where the market was drawing. You can clearly tell that that's what was happening. But I saw we had this breaker. I saw we had SMT here. And the close below this is a breaker. I'll just mark it out like this. Okay, so this was what I was going for, right? Where you have a really good signature and price here. The fair value gap forms right there almost instantly. So this, I mean, would have been fine if I took it as a normal breaker for value gap trade, and you can see that clearly. If I took it like a normal breaker for value gap trade, would have hit 1-to-1, and I would have been in take profit. Now, I would not have taken this copy traded because once again, my rule with copy trading is it needs to be in the context of a higher time frame model. Now, although I knew we were drawing down here, like I can't take it without waiting for confirmation on the higher time frame because this is on the 1 minute chart. So this, even though it worked out, yeah, I would not I would take this on a singular account personally. That's what I would do. But yeah, lesson learned. Let's move on. Like, okay, let me go to my journal. I forgot I wasn't even. I wasn't even writing in my journal just now. Whoops. I meant to record all this. Whoops. Okay, and then right, so the question remains. If that trade was bad, how should I have framed a trade to previous week's low, right? How should I have done it? If I were to redo this and take today's price action all over again, how should I have framed a trade to previous week's low? The question remains. If I had another chance and could refine the time frames, how would I have framed a trade towards previous week's low within a higher time frame model? All right, let's figure this out. So first, what I'd want to do is I'd want to wait for like a 5-minute or a 15-minute confirmation. So here's where you get that 5-minute change of state of delivery, right? And then yeah, so you get the 5-minute change of state of delivery right here, right? So let's mark out the time that this occurs. This candle closes at 9:30. So the trade I'd probably take, I'd wait for the CISD to occur. Okay. First thing I'd do is wait for a 5-minute change of state of delivery. So the first thing I would do is wait for a 5 or 15-minute CISD. In this case, the 5-minute works fine. This confirms that the market is ready to draw towards previous week's low. This occurs at 9:30. And I wonder, did we tap like any new day opening gap or new week opening gap? And we do tap a new day opening gap. After this occurs, we've now framed a higher time frame model and confirmed price. It should be delivering to previous week's low. So now after 9:30, oh, you guys can't see. After 9:30, we look for a lower time frame entry because we got our CISD. Alright, so this is what I would have done if if I were to redo it, right? So here you get that 5-minute change to delivery occurs right at 9:30. Within here, I'm looking for something on the lower time frame, right? That's essentially what I'm saying. To go down to previous week's low. So within here, somewhere after that 5-minute CISD, that is where I am looking to take a lower time frame entry of some kind. Okay, so then dropping down to the 1 minute, there's a very clear one, right? There's a series of down close candles here overlapping with a fair value gap. So how could you take this? Well, I mean, you could actually take it. I wonder if it's on the 5-minute. It's a really clear one on the 3-minute. Very clear on the 3-minute. So I would take this on the 3-minute where you have this down close candle here, right here. So that breaker block overlapping with this fair value gap here. And then you could have stop loss above the breaker, or if you wanted to be extra careful, stop loss a little higher, but stop loss above the breaker is typically fine. And see how this would have been insanely good RR, but then again, like, I would probably have my stop higher because I'm personally just looking for 1-to-1s, and then I would just target a 1-to-1 down back to that low. I mean, because I'm just trying to get my money and get out. But I did know the market was drawing down towards previous week low. So theoretically, once I get better, I can take trades like this. It's just going to take some time. But yeah. So there's that breaker. There's that fair value gap. So let's mark this out here. Okay, now we are on the lower time frame here. Here is the 3-minute. I chose this time frame because it has the most obvious entry. This 3-minute breaker overlapping with this 3-minute fair value gap in line with our higher time frame model. And again, you could hold to previous week's low for 3 or 4 RR, but since I am just looking for 1-to-1 or 2-to-1, I would take all off there because I'm not going for anything larger than that until I get better. But it is cool to note that you could have held it down to previous week's low for a 3 or 4-to-1. So yeah, importance of refining time frames, man. Like it's so important, so important. And then yeah, you could even wait for, like, let's say you wanted additional confirmation. You could even wait for like a 30-second inversion or something, right? Let's see if there was like SMT here. Because like this is what you need to look for in the moment. Like, okay, is there a 30-second SMT? Yeah, see, there was, right? Wait. It might have been lower. It was lower down. It was down here. Okay. All right, sounds good. I'll come up in a second. So, yeah, like I was saying, So which screen can you see? This screen. So we actually got SMT right here. So there maybe was even a trade you could have taken within here, but that's something I'm gonna have to figure out later on. But we know we're drawing down to previous week's low. We get this breaker for value gap, and honestly, I think your confirmation could just be us closing below this 30-second candle here. That's what I would do personally, and then you can get really good RR on this if you really wanted to, right? You could hold this down to previous week's low once again. Yeah, but if you wanted lower time frame confirmation, you could have waited for that off of the breaker for value gap, and then boom, amazing RR. As well, let's say you wanted lower time frame confirmation. You could get that for waiting for this 30-second breaker slash FEG to form out, delivering out of this level. So time frame refinement is so key. This is why it is a requirement for my copy trades, because it allows for the highest probability trades possible. With that, I'm gonna come back and I'll finish journaling later in a little bit, but I gotta go eat. I'll see you guys later.